Good morning, everyone. This is Royce. I come back at you with yet another Let's Try Pickled Chips that are not pickled chips, and energy drinks are not the only thing I got today. Taco John's. And what is it? Well, I was growing to size, why not? I'm buying. The naked mole wrap. Sorry, we are, but in honor of the great Ron Stoppable and his beloved pet Rufus, we are trying the da, 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 Taco Bravo Nacho. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it seems they made the Nacho a reality. This is a double-decker tortilla, so you have the hard shell on the inside, soft shell on the outside, girded with the hard shell girded by nacho cheese, and a normal taco contained within. So yes, they have created the nacho for realsies. Oh, and there's beans in there too. Ugh. I'm not a big refried beans guy, but I won't look down on extra protein. Unfortunately, it sat in the car too long because I had to get gas, too. You know the weird thing about beans? They taste like... Or, they taste the same no matter where you get them from. Like, we're as different as Taco Bell and Taco John's are flavor profile-wise. Their beans taste the exact same. That is weird. Ugh. Ugh. So much beans. Now you know why I didn't eat more of the Cheetos and pickleballs. And yes, there is another one, but I ate that first one too fast. I want to let my stomach settle a little bit. So, I briefly paid homage to the great Kim Possible and her stalwart companion. But what is Kim Possible for some of you who are in the audience who are either too old or too young to know what I'm talking about? It was a Disney show from when I was a little kid about a teenage girl who was basically like an adventurer spy kind of deal where she would stop supervillains. Like, it's weird. She existed in that kind of spy world where she is not a superhero, but she fights supervillains. You know, her main nemesis was a blue guy named Dr. Draken, voiced by Bending Rodriguez himself, John DiMaggio. Not to be confused with Joe DiMaggio. And why I say that she's like definitely she definitely fights supervillains is because her villains all had gimmicks. Like another one of her villains was a karate master who was, well, a kung fu master, I should say, and who had mutagenic surgery basically to make himself half chimpanzee, who called himself Lord Monkey Fist because he was a British nobleman, but he was also a kung fu master monkey. There was there was like an angry golf guy. Oh, the monkey guy was voiced by Tom Kane, who is Professor Utonium in Powerpuff Girls, and a bunch of other like really famous characters. Sadly, he had to retire due to a stroke a few years ago. But then, let's see. There was a villain who was obsessed with Beanie Babies, and so she made horrible monsters. And her villain name was Deanne Amy, and she actually had a huge crush on Monkey Fist too, so she made herself a gorilla. That was a weird one. Oh, and then, also my favorite line from the show for some reason is actually from Monkey Fist, because there's this episode where Kim Possible gets turned into a monkey, which feels more like a Totally Spies thing than a Kim Possible thing, if you catch my drift. Because Totally Spies was another like show about female spies fighting villains, and it was notorious for having fetish content. They were always being shrunk or mutated or muscle, or they'd get as fat as me. Anyway, but no, in the episode, Monkey Fist is called is confused for the mascot of the Lemurs, the basketball team they're playing against, and he says, "A lemur? I've never even been to Madagascar," which is such a great line, delivered so perfectly, and like that's a very intelligent reference for kids, I think. Like, yeah, I think it's pretty common knowledge lemurs are very specifically from Madagascar. At least I think most are. I think there might be a few in South America, but I can't remember. Is the eye a lemur? If you know what Naya is, this makes perfect sense to you. If not, then you probably don't. But like that's what I miss about kid shows, is making like references that would be understandable to, it might go above again, like I hate being like, oh, the cartoons of my childhood were much better than the drivel they have today. But no. Like there was almost like an intellectualism to some of those older cartoons. Like when 90s cartoons would reference Golden Age cinema and comedy and stuff, because like the Animaniacs made a ton of references to Golden Age Hollywood. The Simpsons made a ton of references to the Three Stooges and stuff. I think it's funny that the Three Stooges maintained such pop culture relevancy. That's something you don't have nowadays. Nowadays, everything is such a flash in the pan. But back in the day, and I think part of that, though, is like, you gotta reference the classics, both modern and old. Like, no one remembers the Simpson episode where they... No one remembers the Simpson episode for parodying Raffi. They remember it for referencing, the Jean Valjean's prisoner number, or Bart fantasizing about seeing Huck Finn and Abe Lincoln. Anyway, I gotta get off my stump. This soapbox is only for soap, which I need. It takes a lot to clean this bulk. I wash myself with a sponge on a stick. There's another Simpsons reference for you. Morbidly obese Bart. And Bart actually thought that was a good, thing to grow up to be, because he's like a weirdo who thinks it's cool to grow up to be a weird, gross monster. Probably because he's obsessed with Curly. Anyway, so the reason why the Nacho is so synonymous with Kim Possible is because, similar to how Friends had the coffee shop and Seinfeld had the diner, Ron and Kim often hung out after school at Taco Bueno, which was a Taco Bell, you know, it was a parody of Taco Bell. And Ron had this dumb food hack that he would do where he'd take a taco, open it up, and put a bunch of nachos in it and call it a nacho. And this is not exactly that, but it's a very close approximation. Because beans, lettuce, nacho cheese, that's all in a super nacho. I remember binging with Babish once trying to make the nacho, and he made it vegetarian. Which, no. The nacho drips with, like, that juicy beef, the beef that's more of a sauce than a protein. Because, it's fast food beef, fast food ground beef. They keep it simmering in a steamer tray. Or in a gun. One of my classmates back in Glenwood, he used to work at a Taco Bell, and talked about how the steak that they had came in a tube, and you had it in a gun. He might have been, he might have been telling jokes, joshing me a little bit, but he literally told that to everyone. So either he was a massive gaslight, or there's something to it. Who can say? Who can say? That was a weird tangent, though. He said that the steak meat was purple in the tube too, which I think could have been like an off color, like how it looks through the plastic. I don't know. Ugh. Anyway. If you like beans in your taco, then I think you'd like the Taco Nacho Bravo. If you don't, well, they still have their fish tacos, which are way better. It's flounder this year. I think it was flounder last year, too. Anyway, I've taken up enough of your time. This was Royce Miller. I'm out.